You're born into a house where money is not discussed, it is felt. It is in the way your mother opens the mail and sets certain envelopes aside without opening them. It is in the way your father says we're fine, when you can hear in his voice that fine is a word doing heavy lifting. You don't know what an overdraft is. You don't know what a credit score is, but you know what a quiet kitchen means when the rent is due and the math isn't working. You are 5 years old and your financial education has already started, not with lessons, but with atmosphere. You are learning that money is something that causes silence, something that makes adults stop talking when you walk into the room, something that is never enough and never explained. By the time you are 8, you understand things no one has said out loud. You understand that certain stores are not for your family. You understand that "we'll see" means no. You understand that when your mother says "not right now," she means not ever, but she doesn't want you to feel the weight of that, so she stretches the sentence to give it hope. You are absorbing a financial framework, and no one in your house knows they are building it. Your parents are not bad with money. They are navigating a system that was never explained to them either. Your father works overtime not because he wants to, but because the math requires it. Your mother manages the house on a number that would make most financial advisors go quiet. She knows exactly what everything costs. She can stretch $40 across 5 days of meals without blinking. That is financial intelligence. Nobody will ever call it that. But here is what they cannot teach you. They cannot teach you what they were never taught. They cannot explain investing because no one invested anything. They cannot explain compound interest because no one compounded anything. They cannot explain credit strategy because credit was something that happened to them, not something they used. Their parents didn't teach them either. And their parents before that were dealing with survival, not strategy. You inherit this silence the way you inherit eye color, without choice, without awareness. It becomes the water you swim in. You are 16 and your friends are talking about what their parents do with money. One of them mentions a Roth IRA. You nod like you know what that is. You don't. You go home and nobody in your house has ever said those 3 letters in that order. Another friend mentions that her father owns rental property. You didn't know regular people could own property they didn't live in. The concept doesn't fit anywhere inside the framework your house built for you. You start working at 17. Fast food, retail, whatever hires you without experience. Your first paycheck feels enormous until it doesn't. You cash it or deposit it, and within days it's gone because you were never taught the difference between money that comes in and money that stays. You spend because spending is the only financial behavior you've ever witnessed. Money arrives and money leaves. That is the entire model you inherited. You are 22 and you've graduated or you haven't, but either way, you're earning now. Real paychecks, direct deposit, a bank account with your name on it. You feel like you've made it past something, but the framework is still running underneath everything you do. You don't invest because investing feels like something for people with extra, and you have never had extra. You don't save consistently because every time you build a small cushion, something breaks, someone calls, something pulls it back to zero. Meanwhile, someone your exact age with your exact salary is putting $200 a month into an index fund, not because they're smarter, because someone showed them. A parent, an uncle, a family friend who sat them down at 19 and said, "Put this here and don't touch it." That one conversation, 15 minutes over coffee, is now worth the entire financial gap between your life and theirs. 10 years from now, that gap will be $40,000. 20 years from now, it will be $180,000. Not because they earned more, because someone in their house said words that no one in your house ever said. You are 27 and you're starting to feel it. Not just the tightness of living paycheck to paycheck, but something deeper. A suspicion that the game started before you were born and you were placed on the board without being told the rules. You watch people your age buying homes and you wonder what they know that you don't. The answer is not more. The answer is earlier. They were given the map at 15. You're drawing yours at 27 from scratch with no reference point. You start learning on your own. YouTube videos at midnight, articles you don't fully understand the first time, words like diversification and asset allocation and tax-advantaged accounts that sound like a foreign language because in your house they were. Every concept you encounter feels like something that should have been handed to you a decade ago. And you're right, it should have been. But it wasn't. Not because your parents failed you, because the system never bothered to reach your house. Financial literacy was not in your school curriculum. It was not in your neighborhood. It was not on the television your family watched or in the conversations your community had. It existed in rooms your family was never invited into, passed down in families that already had assets to manage, taught in schools that charged tuition your parents couldn't pronounce, let alone pay. You are 30 now. You've started, late by some measurements, but started nonetheless. You opened an investment account. You built a small emergency fund. You read your credit report for the first time, and it felt like reading your own medical chart, a history of decisions made without full information. You're fixing things one at a time, slowly, quietly, without the safety net that other people were born standing on. And here is what nobody will say to you, so I will. The fact that you are building from zero is not evidence that you are behind. It is evidence that you were placed at a starting line that was drawn further back than everyone else's. Every dollar you invest now carries more weight than it would for someone who was handed the playbook at birth. Every lesson you learn now will become the lesson you teach the next generation, so they don't start where you started. Your parents gave you what they had. It wasn't enough, but it was everything. The silence wasn't neglect. It was the sound of people doing their best inside a system that never extended its hand in their direction. You are the first one in your family to open a brokerage account, the first one to understand what compound interest can do across 30 years, the first one to look at money as a tool instead of a crisis. That is not a small thing. That is the moment a generational pattern breaks. Not with noise, not with celebration, just with one person deciding to learn what no one in their bloodline was ever taught. The relationship was decided before you were born, but the revision starts with you. I'm Mayor. I'll see you in the next one.